Shohei Ohtani isn't just playing the game, he is completely rewriting the script for baseball on a global scale. Cue the highlight reel, that is a massive blast deep to center.
Inevitable!
It feels inevitable at this point. The man is a legitimate
Center field, he's at the track, 40-40, we'll go grand slam! What a moment, history!
movie star looking like Brad Pitt out. Despite earning more cash than he could spend in 10 lifetimes, his day-to-day existence is shockingly humble. That said, the dual-threat icon did drop nearly $8 million on a mid-century modern mansion in La Cañada, Flint Ridge. Critics used to argue that the face of the league shouldn't be a guy who relies on a translator, but when you play like this, who cares about the language barrier? Let's rewind the tape to where it all began. Shohei Ohtani entered the world as the youngest of 3 kids in the quiet rural countryside of Oshu, Japan on July 5th, 1994. He clearly won the genetic lottery. His mom was a semi-pro badminton athlete and his dad played amateur baseball. His father put a bat in his hands early on, and Shohei developed a borderline obsession with the sport. By his teenage years at Hanamaki Higashi High, he was a freak of nature, dominating on the diamond and standing out as an elite swimmer. At just 18, he clocked a fastball at 99 miles per hour, shattering the national high school record. That kind of heat naturally had Major League scouts drooling. However, despite the American interest, the Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters took a massive gamble and picked him in the 2012 NPB draft. Following some intense back-and-forth, Ohtani threw a curveball to the world. He announced he'd sign with the Fighters, developing his game in Japan before making the jump to the States. The Fighters offered him something the American teams wouldn't dare: the chance to pitch and hit simultaneously. The Los Angeles Dodgers were actually his dream team back then, but they refused to let him do both. Big mistake. Let's look at how he cut his teeth as a pro. At 18 years old, Ohtani stepped onto the field for the Fighters, debuting as a right fielder. It wasn't instant magic though. He hit just 238 and got schooled by future Yankee Masahiro Tanaka, but by year 2, he became the first Japanese player ever to notch double-digit wins and double-digit homers in the same season. Then, during the All-Star festivities that summer, he unleashed this absolute laser beam. That was officially the fastest pitch ever recorded by a Japanese hurler. He proceeded to own the league, topping the charts in wins and winning percentage the very next year. He followed that up by cementing his status as a legend, taking home the league MVP trophy the next season. With nothing left to prove in Japan, Ohtani set his sights on the big show. In November 2017, the leagues established a posting system to bring him over. The Los Angeles Angels won the sweepstakes, paying a $20 million posting fee to close the book on his Japanese career. Now let's talk about his invasion of the major leagues. On December 8th, 2017, he inked a deal with the Angels, grabbing a $2,315,000 signing bonus. Not a bad payday. By April, he was on the mound. He struck out the side in his pitching debut, and just 48 hours later, he smashed his first big league home run. That ball is absolutely crushed toward right center field. It was no surprise when he walked away with the Rookie of the Year hardware. The road wasn't all smooth though. After recovering from Tommy John surgery, he didn't pitch for nearly 2 years. When he finally returned, he gave up 5 runs without getting a single out. A flexor strain shut him down for the rest of that year. It was a wake-up call, so he spent the offseason completely reinventing his body. He overhauled his nutrition, hit the iron hard, and packed on muscle to weigh in at a solid 225 pounds. By June, he became the first pitcher ever voted into the Home Run Derby. 5 days later, things got even stranger. With the DH rule in play, Ohtani actually hit for himself while pitching a total anomaly in the modern game. It was historic, the first time an American League team skipped the designated hitter while the National League team actually used one. He kept breaking records the next month, becoming the first human being selected as an all-star as both a position player and a pitcher. There he is on the mound moments after we saw him batting. The hardware kept coming as he snagged the American League MVP and a Silver Slugger in 2021. The next year, the league literally changed the rules for him. They introduced the Ohtani rule, allowing a pitcher to stay in the lineup as a DH even after being pulled from the mound. Then in May, he finally connected for his first career grand slam. But June of the next season was when he reached God mode. He homered in the first, struck out 10 batters, and then did the unthinkable in the 7th inning. Just look at this from a few years back. Ohtani launches one to left center, and it is gone. That is his second bomb of the night. For 3 straight years, he was an all-star on both sides of the ball. Exactly 1 year after his first grand slam, he did it again, driving this one deep to right. A grand slam for Shohei Ohtani. Unfortunately, a tear in his UCL would tragically end his season early. That injury hurt, but it didn't stop the bag. He entered free agency and signed a massive deal with the Dodgers, making his debut in Seoul, South Korea. That is hit high and deep to left. That ball is out of here in his first game as a Dodger. He proceeded to deliver the single greatest statistical season we have ever seen. He created the 50-50 club, becoming the first player in history to crush 50 homers and swipe 50 bags in a single year. Ohtani lifts this one into the sky. Simply one of a kind. Ohtani inaugurates the 50-50 club. When October came around, he was ready for the bright lights. Was there any doubt he'd show up in the postseason? He powered the Dodgers through the division series and the championship series, eventually taking down the Yankees to secure his first ever World Series ring. He won the National League MVP unanimously, of course. It came out later that he played through a torn labrum in his left shoulder from Game 2 onwards. Absolute warrior stuff. Fast forward to the present. Ohtani kicked off the 2026 season with the Dodgers at the MLB Tokyo Series, and he absolutely demolished this ball for the home crowd. Just take a look at that swing. First homer of the 2026 campaign, and he does it in Tokyo. He has since led the team to the hottest start in franchise history. High fly ball to center. It is Ohtani's world. We're just living in it. Before we wrap up, let's look at his international resume. The peak of his global stardom happened at the World Baseball Classic, bottom of the 9th 2 outs, championship on the line. He struck him out, he sits down. Mike Trout in Japan reigns supreme. He fanned his own teammate to win the gold. You couldn't write a better ending. Without a doubt, we witnessed absolute history on the diamond, a performance so legendary that he went on record calling it the peak moment of his entire life. But today we are shifting gears to look at the massive bank account fueling that legacy. Ohtani didn't just break the bank, he shattered the vault with the single largest contract in the history of sports. But hold on, there is a massive twist involved. Before we dive into those deep waters, let's rewind the clock to his humbler beginnings. Back when he was tearing it up in Japan's NPB, the fighters handed him a signing bonus of $1.2 million paired with a capped rookie salary of $150,000. Fast forward to 2016, and he bumped that up with a $2.37 million extension. Crossing the Pacific in 2017 wasn't exactly a straight shot to riches though, since Ohtani was under 25 and had fewer than 6 years of pro ball under his belt. The rules classified him as an amateur, forcing him to scratch out his name on a standard minor league contract. That meant the Mega Millions had to wait. At just 23 years old, he inked a deal with the Angels that came with a $2.3 million bonus and a league minimum salary of $535,000. Talk about a bargain for a generational talent. His paycheck saw only modest bumps over the next few seasons. We are talking $650,000 in 2019 and $700,000 in 2020. Eventually, he secured an $8.5 million 2-year pact to sidestep the arbitration headache. Then, right before he hit the open market, the Angels shelled out $30 million for a 1-year agreement. At the time, that was the heftiest sum ever paid to a player eligible for arbitration. But folks, that was merely the appetizer. In December of 2023, Ohtani put pen to paper on a mind-blowing $700 million contract with the Dodgers. We are talking about the richest deal in the history of North American sports. The perks are just as insane as the paycheck. He secured a luxury suite at Dodger Stadium, a premium hotel suite for every single road game, a personal interpreter on the payroll, and a full no-trade clause to keep him in LA. Here's where it gets tricky though. Ohtani decided to defer over 97% of that cash. He is taking home just $2 million annually for the next 10 years. As for the remaining $680 million, he won't see a single penny of that mountain of cash until 2034. It is a brilliant financial maneuver that saves the Dodgers from a crippling luxury tax bill, freeing them up to stack the roster with superstars around him. Don't lose any sleep over his bank account though. The man is absolutely raking it in, pulling down a staggering $100 million a year just from endorsements. He is the face of giants like Seiko Fanatics, New Balance, and Topps. So yeah, I think it is safe to say his wallet is doing just fine. Now that we have established the sheer volume of his income, the real question is, what kind of toys is he buying with all that loot? Being one of the highest earning athletes on the planet means you are going to indulge in some luxury wheels. One of his first major splurges was picking up a sleek Tesla Model X. That electric ride set him back about $78,000. Later on, he upgraded to a Porsche 911, which carries a price tag of $131 grand. He also sports a tasteful watch collection featuring a Grand Seiko that retails for $9,100. But those toys are pocket change compared to the real estate moves he made in 2024. He dropped an eye-watering $7.85 million on a stunning property in La Canada, Flint Ridge. This architectural masterpiece features 5 bedrooms, 6.5 bathrooms, and comes fully loaded with a custom in-ground swimming pool and a massive game room for entertainment. Ohtani actually bought the place from comedian and podcaster Adam Carolla, but things took a dark turn almost immediately. Even though he used an LLC to shield his identity, the secret didn't last long. 2 Japanese media outlets leaked the address and essentially camped out on his front lawn. They were snapping photos, filming everything, and harassing neighbors who had no clue a global superstar was moving in next door. The media circus got so out of hand that he was literally forced to sell the property before he could even unpack a single box. Talk about a privacy nightmare. Since then, the executives at those Japanese outlets have issued public apologies to Ohtani, but the damage was already done. Ohtani isn't just looking for roots in California, though. He is currently constructing a massive compound in Hawaii. We are talking about a sprawling 11-acre site on the Big Island where he plans to erect multiple structures. He is pouring a reported $17 million into the main mansion alone. That is serious cash for a vacation getaway. The plans reportedly call for a custom-designed primary residence, several guest houses, and a private farm, perfectly mixing high-end luxury with that laid-back island lifestyle. Plus, it overlooks the 8th hole of a resort golf course. Where do I sign up? But the man isn't just spending that fortune on himself. When he arrived at the Dodgers teammate, Joe Kelly was already wearing jersey number 17. It took some convincing from Kelly's wife to get him to surrender the digits to the new superstar. As a token of his appreciation, Ohtani stunned her by having a brand new Porsche delivered right to her driveway. And he didn't stop there. He also gifted manager Dave Roberts a Porsche of his own. I just had to pause the session to show you guys the gift Shohei sent over yesterday. And guess what? He bought him another Porsche in 2026. Gabby, I have a feeling Shohei is behind this one too. Are you kidding me? That is generosity on another level. Now, why don't we peel back the curtain on his personal life? Believe me, it is probably not what you are expecting. Ohtani hit millionaire status while he was still a teenager, but unlike most young phenoms, he didn't blow it on bling. He actually let his mom handle the books, and she gave him a strict allowance of just $1,000 a month to live on. His entire existence revolves around baseball 24/7. He takes recovery incredibly seriously, often logging over 10 hours of sleep a day and scheduling strategic naps to ensure his body is primed for performance. He is so dedicated to his rest that he uses custom-made pillows packed with specific materials to maintain the exact height and firmness he needs for his neck. While everyone assumes he is grinding away at English lessons, Angels catcher Martin Maldonado once let it slip that Ohtani is actually better at Spanish. Apparently, he knows way more Spanish phrases than English ones. These days, Ohtani jumps into video game lobbies with teammates to practice his English communication. Speaking of gaming, his likeness was officially dropped into Fortnite, making him the very first MLB player to be playable in the Battle Royale. You might find this hard to believe, but outside of the diamond, he is a huge hockey nerd. He frequently tunes into NHL games to cheer on his buddy defenseman Brandon Montour. He also loves sitting courtside at Lakers games. He snagged some prime seats recently to watch the purple and gold take down the Timberwolves. At one point, the camera caught the couple on the Jumbotron, and the arena absolutely erupted. The VIP treatment continued when he was presented with a custom Lakers jersey featuring his name on the back. Lakers forward and fellow Japanese icon Rui Hachimura later confessed that seeing Ohtani dominate in LA has been a massive source of inspiration for his own career. He backed up those words that very night, dropping 23 points to help seal the win. The LA Rams rolled out a similar red carpet for Ohtani during a Thursday night football clash against the Saints. They welcomed him with a custom number 17 Rams jersey, and he was spotted on the sidelines getting a feel for the pigskin, testing out his grip on an NFL football. Later on, he headed up to a luxury suite to watch the action, rocking that fresh Rams jersey underneath his signature black leather jacket. After the Rams secured the victory, Ohtani popped into the locker room to shake hands with quarterback Matthew Stafford and head coach Sean McVay. It turns out football isn't the only other sport he has messed around with, but while he looked like a natural holding a football, his golf game is a completely different tragedy. Some unearthed footage shows the Dodgers superstar completely whiffing a 3-foot putt for a bogey, proving that nobody is perfect at everything. No clue when that was filmed, but maybe that $700 million contract can buy him a better putter or at least a lesson or two. More recently, Ohtani broke the internet by announcing his marriage to his longtime partner Mamiko Tanaka, and let me tell you, she has got some serious athletic credentials of her own. Before tying the knot with Ohtani, Tanaka was a professional basketball player in Japan, proving that elite athleticism definitely runs in the family. Back in her playing days, she was an absolute force on the hardwood, dominating as a forward and leaving a serious mark on the Japanese Women's Basketball League. She decided to hang up her jersey in 2023 after a killer season where she rocked a shooting percentage of 47.7%. Since then, Tanaka has been the silent rock by Ohtani's side as he shattered records and redefined the sport. The power couple secretly tied the knot in early 2024, keeping it completely under wraps. 2 weeks later, the world finally got a look at the mystery woman when the Dodgers dropped a photo of them together right before jetting off to South Korea. Ever since that reveal, she's become a fixture, spotted going wild in the stands, celebrating massive victories and looking glamorous alongside him on the red carpet. Honestly, they are too perfect. She even showed her class by putting together thoughtful care packages for the other Dodgers wives before their trip to Tokyo for the MLB Global Series. But let's be real, their family has a third star, their dog Decoy, who completely hijacked the spotlight during Ohtani's MVP announcement. Decoy's fame is out of control. The pup actually got his own official Dodgers bobblehead and was invited to the mound to throw out the ceremonial first pitch. That has to be the first time a dog has ever delivered a first pitch in league history. And believe it or not, he threw a perfect strike right down the pipe. Then at the start of 2026, Shohei dropped a bombshell announcement that his wife was pregnant, meaning the Ohtani roster is officially expanding with a new rookie on the way. Stepping away from his immediate family life, Shohei has been busy building his squad and making some high-profile friends since his arrival in the MLB. Back when he was donning the Angels jersey, he formed a tight brotherhood with teammates David Fletcher and Mike Trout. Even after the team switch, Ohtani and Trout reportedly stay in close contact to this day. More recently, since moving across town, he's developed a strong bond with Teoscar Hernandez. Ohtani mentioned that they built this unlikely friendship by communicating in their mutual second language, English. He's also extremely tight with fellow Japanese superstars Roki Sasaki and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. It begs the question, who is actually his baseball best friend? It's hard to pick just one. The trio first bonded deeply while playing for the Japanese national team during the 2026 tournament. They even visited the White House together following their World Series triumph. But we have to talk about his long-standing relationship with his former interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara. That relationship, once seen as inseparable, came to a crashing halt recently following some massive headline-grabbing controversy. Let us know in the comments if you want a full breakdown of that drama. When he isn't dominating on the field or watching sports, Ohtani has some serious drip. He's got enough style to land a sit-down photo shoot with GQ magazine. His resume of personal accolades is just as stacked, including being named to the prestigious Time 100 list of the most influential people back in 2021. He was also honored with the Commissioner's Historic Achievement Award by Rob Manfred. This isn't your average trophy. It recognizes individuals who have made a colossal impact on the sport, usually for achievements that rewrite the history books. To give you an idea of how rare this is, it's not even an annual award and has only been handed out 16 times in the entire history of the game. Speaking of history, when Ohtani crushed his 50th home run to join the 50-50 club, the fans in the stadium went absolutely feral trying to grab that ball. Oh my god, it was total chaos. There is no way that just happened, and when that piece of history finally hit the auction block, it sold for a mind-melting $4,390,000. That price tag completely shattered the record for the most expensive baseball ever sold. It blew past the previous record of $3,005,000 set by Mark McGwire's 70th home run ball, but the money train didn't stop there. Topps later released a unique 50/50 card to immortalize Ohtani's legendary season. This one-of-one autographed card features the actual MLB logo patch taken directly from the pants he was wearing when he hit that 50th homer. That same game saw him steal his 50th base against the Marlins. The card sold for a staggering $167,000, making it by far the highest price ever paid for an Ohtani card. Now let's switch gears and look at the moments that caused some serious waves in Ohtani's career. He usually flies under the radar, but his decision not to speak English publicly hasn't stopped some pundits from running their mouths. Back in 2021, Stephen A. Smith went on a viral rant claiming that Ohtani using an interpreter was somehow contributing to harming baseball in the United States. He argued that having a foreign face of baseball who needs an interpreter to speak to the media contributes to harming the marketability of the game to some degree. However, the controversy surrounding his latest massive contract signing goes a whole lot deeper than language barriers. There is a specific clause in his contract stating he can opt out and walk away at any time if controlling owner Mark Walter or president of baseball operations Andrew Friedman lose their roles with the team. This clause ignited a firestorm of criticism and frustration from fans who see it as an unprecedented level of player influence over front office executive decisions. It has raised serious questions about the shifting balance of power between superstar players and team ownership groups, but for others, the bigger issue is the financial structure of the deal itself. Ohtani agreed to defer a massive chunk of his paycheck, $68 million of his $70 million annual salary for 10 years. I get it, he's trying to dodge those brutal California taxes. Exactly, there is no doubt about that strategy. This arrangement gives the Dodgers immediate financial flexibility, allowing them to stack their roster with more stars and stay hyper-competitive in the short term. However, a lot of fans and analysts view this as a loophole that gives the Dodgers a completely unfair advantage over the rest of the league. By kicking the can down the road on Ohtani's salary, the Dodgers can artificially stay under the luxury tax threshold, freeing up cash for other massive signings. This has led to fears that financial strategies like this will create massive disparities between teams, drawing comparisons to the pay-to-win financial practices seen in European soccer leagues. But Ohtani's darkest moment undoubtedly came in 2024. His longtime interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, was accused of embezzling nearly $17 million from Ohtani's bank account to pay off gambling debts to an illegal bookmaker. Mizuhara initially tried to claim that Ohtani was fully aware of the wire transfers and was just helping a friend. In January of 2026, audio recordings surfaced of Mizuhara actually impersonating Ohtani during a phone call to the bank to secure a $200,000 wire transfer, which further complicated the scandal. Who am I speaking with, Shohei? And the amount? $200,000, and the reason just alone. Despite Mizuhara claiming he had a gambling addiction, prosecutors argued that pure greed was his primary motivation. The judge sentenced him to nearly 5 years in federal prison and ordered him to pay restitution of over $18 million, the vast majority of which is owed back to Ohtani. The MLB conducted its own investigation and completely cleared Ohtani of any wrongdoing, confirming he had zero knowledge of the illegal gambling activity. However, that hasn't stopped conspiracy theories from circulating, with some fans and analysts believing Ohtani might have been involved, citing just how strange the whole situation was. Additionally, many argue it is incredibly hard to believe that Ohtani wouldn't have noticed $17 million vanishing from his accounts. It's such a wild story that Lionsgate Television has already announced they are developing a scripted drama series based on the scandal. Finally, let's move on to his most recent controversy in April of 2026. As per tradition, the president invited the World Series champions to the White House. However, the growing political divide between a state like California and the president's administration left many with an uneasy feeling about the entire visit. Even though historical tradition usually dictates a celebratory trip to the nation's capital, a massive wave of the Dodgers faithful has openly revolted against the organization and Shohei Ohtani for agreeing to make that controversial White House appearance. Yet amidst all the noise and fury, skipper Dave Roberts stood firm, branding the invitation as a prestigious honor that absolutely should not be missed. But let's be real, you aren't here for the politics. You are here to see just how much cold hard cash this superstar has stacked up in the bank. We have already touched on the fact that he recently put ink to paper on arguably the most colossal contract the sporting world has ever witnessed, guaranteeing that his financial empire is about to explode into the stratosphere. But even before that mega deal fully kicks in, when you tally up every single paycheck he has collected from the league so far, the sheer volume of wealth is absolutely mind-blowing. We are talking about a staggering $246,269,259 in total career earnings, cementing his current net worth at a cool $150 million. Thanks for checking out this lifestyle showdown.